I'm standing in my childhood kitchen, still wearing my black funeral dress, watching my sister pack mom's china into boxes like she owns the place. Because apparently she thinks she does. You know, Emma, you should probably start looking for an apartment, Jessica says, without even looking up from the cabinet. I'll give you until the end of the month to move out. That's more than fair. The audacity hits me like a slap. Mom has been dead for exactly 6 hours. 6 hours. Excuse me. I set down the coffee mug I'd been clutching like a lifeline since we got back from the cemetery. Jessica finally turns around, and there's this smug little smile on her face that I've seen 1,000 times before. The same smile she had when she told Mom I'd been sneaking out in high school. The same smile when she, accidentally, spilled wine on my wedding dress during my first marriage. The house, Emma, Mom left it to me. We both know I was always her favorite. She shrugs like she's discussing the weather. Besides, I have a family to think about. You're divorced and childless. What do you need all this space for? My hands start shaking, not from grief this time, from pure white-hot rage. Mom's will hasn't even been read yet, Jessica. Oh, please, she waves me off like I'm a child having a tantrum. Mom and I talked about this months ago. She knew I'd take better care of the family home. You've always been too emotional, too unstable. Remember when you had that breakdown after your divorce? Mom was worried you'd let the place fall apart. The worst part? She says it all with this concerned, sisterly voice, like she's doing me a favor by crushing my world 6 hours after we buried our mother. But Jessica has no idea what's coming. None of them do. Because while she was playing the perfect daughter, making her weekly visits with the grandkids Mom adored, I was the one sitting in hospital waiting rooms. I was the one holding Mom's hand through chemo. I was the one she whispered her real plans to, when she thought no one else could hear. Tomorrow, when that lawyer opens his file and reads the actual will, Jessica's smug little world is going to come crashing down. And I can't wait to watch it happen. What would you do if your sister tried to steal your inheritance before the will was even read? Comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. Let me back up and tell you how we got here, because this story starts long before today's funeral. It starts with two sisters who couldn't be more different if we tried. I'm Emma Chen, yes Chen. I kept my ex-husband's name because honestly, Emma Patterson sounds like a romance novel character, and I've had enough drama in my love life to last several lifetimes. I'm 32, work as a freelance graphic designer, and until 3 months ago, I thought my biggest problem was explaining to my mother why I wasn't ready to date again after my divorce 2 years ago. Jessica is my older sister by 4 years. Jessica Patterson Williams, because she hyphenated when she married her college sweetheart, Marcus. She's everything I'm not: organized, predictable, mother of 2 adorable kids, owner of a successful real estate agency, president of the PTA, the whole perfect suburban mom package. Growing up, Jessica was the golden child. Straight A's, homecoming queen, full ride to state. I was the artsy one, the dreamer, the one who disappointed Dad by choosing design school over business school. Mom always said she loved us equally, but let's be honest, Jessica made it easy to be proud of her. When Dad died in a car accident 8 years ago, Jessica stepped up in ways I couldn't. She handled the funeral arrangements, dealt with insurance, helped Mom navigate all the legal stuff. I was living in California then, trying to make it as a designer, and I flew home for the funeral but had to leave right after. I felt terrible about it, but I was barely scraping by, and my boss made it clear that missing more work meant losing my job. Jessica never let me forget it. Emma wasn't here when Dad needed her, she'd say. Not maliciously, Jessica's too smart for that. She'd say it sadly, like she was disappointed in me, which somehow felt worse. When my marriage fell apart 2 years ago, I moved back to our hometown. Partly because I needed Mom's support, but mostly because I couldn't afford California anymore. The divorce cleaned me out, apparently. David had been hiding assets, and by the time my lawyer figured it out, there wasn't much left to fight over. Moving back home felt like failure. I was 30, divorced, broke, and living in my childhood bedroom like some kind of cautionary tale. Jessica never said anything, but I could see it in her eyes during Sunday dinners, pity mixed with a little bit of "I told you so." But Mom was different. She welcomed me back with open arms, no questions asked. "This house has always been your home," she told me. Stay as long as you need. That was 2 years ago. In that time, I rebuilt my design business, slowly but steadily. I started getting contracts with local businesses, then some regional clients. Nothing huge, but enough to start feeling like myself again. I was even thinking about getting my own place when mom got diagnosed. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, the doctor gave her 6 months. Jessica handled the news exactly how you'd expect. She made spreadsheets, treatment schedules, medication lists, meal plans. She organized everything from her pristine home office while her kids played in their perfect backyard. I handled it by never leaving mom's side. I moved my entire office to mom's dining room table. I took calls from her hospital room. I learned to give injections, manage pain medication, and help her shower when she got too weak to do it alone. For 6 months, mom's care became my full-time job, and my design work became something I squeezed in during the few hours when she was sleeping peacefully. Jessica visited twice a week, always with the kids. She'd bring casseroles and stay for exactly 2 hours, long enough to look like the devoted daughter, not long enough to deal with the messy, ugly parts of watching someone you love die slowly. "You don't have to do this all yourself, Emma," she'd say. "We could hire a nurse." But mom didn't want a stranger. She wanted family. And since Jessica had her own family to worry about, that family was me. During those long nights when mom couldn't sleep, we talked. Really talked, maybe for the first time in years. She told me about her own childhood, about falling in love with dad, about the dreams she'd never gotten to chase because she'd gotten pregnant with Jessica so young. "You remind me of myself," she said one night, her voice barely above a whisper. "Before I learned to be practical, you still believe in possibilities." She also told me things about Jessica that I'd never known. How Jessica had always been jealous of my creativity, my willingness to take risks. How she'd worried that Jessica's need to be perfect came from fear, not confidence. "Jessica thinks success means controlling everything," mom said, "but you understand that sometimes the most beautiful things come from letting go." 3 weeks before she died, mom asked me to drive her to see her lawyer, Robert Kimball. He'd been the family attorney for 20 years, handled dad's will, helped mom with various legal matters over the years. "Just some paperwork to update," she told Jessica when she asked about the appointment. "Nothing major." I sat in the waiting room while they met. When mom came out, she looked exhausted but somehow lighter, like a weight had been lifted. "All taken care of," she said, patting my hand as we got in the car. I didn't ask what she'd taken care of. Mom had always been private about financial matters, and I figured it was probably just updating beneficiaries on insurance policies or something boring like that. The last 2 weeks of mom's life were the hardest. Jessica started coming by more often, bringing flowers and taking photos with mom for what we all knew would be the last time. She posted them on social media with captions about cherishing family moments and making memories. I deleted my social media apps. I couldn't handle seeing my mother's death turned into content for Jessica's perfect life narrative. Mom died on a Tuesday morning in October. I was holding her hand. Jessica was at a PTA meeting. She got to the hospital 20 minutes later, sobbing dramatically. "I should have been here," she kept saying. "She waited for me, didn't she? Tell me she waited for me." I let her believe whatever she needed to believe. Mom was gone, and the truth wouldn't bring her back. The funeral was beautiful. Jessica organized it, of course, and she did a good job. The whole town came out. Mom had been a teacher for 35 years, and she'd touched a lot of lives. Jessica gave a perfect eulogy about mom's strength, her dedication to family, her love for her daughters and grandchildren. I didn't speak. Every time I tried to practice what I wanted to say, I just cried. So I let Jessica have her moment, let her be the composed, eloquent daughter who could honor mom with beautiful words. But now we're back at the house, and Jessica's true colors are showing. She's been acting like she owns the place since we got back from the cemetery. Directing people where to put flowers, telling me which leftovers I can take home, as if I don't live here, making decisions about mom's things like they're already hers. And now this, telling me to move out, acting like the will reading tomorrow is just a formality, like she already knows what it says. Maybe she does know. Maybe mom did tell her something I don't know about. Maybe those late night conversations we had, all those moments I thought we were bonding, were just the morphine talking. Or maybe Jessica is about to get the shock of her life. Have you ever had a family member act like they own something that wasn't theirs? Drop a comment and let me know. I feel like I'm going crazy here. The next morning, I wake up in my childhood bedroom, maybe for the last time, if Jessica gets her way, to the sound of voices downstairs. Loud voices. I check my phone, it's 8:47 a.m. The will reading isn't until 10. I throw on a robe and head downstairs to find Jessica in the kitchen with her husband Marcus and mom's neighbor, Mrs. Chen, no relation, despite the shared name. Marcus is measuring the kitchen island, while Mrs. Chen looks uncomfortable. "Morning, Emma," Marcus says without looking up from his tape measure. "Just getting some preliminary measurements. Jess wants to remodel once you move out." I stare at them. Once I move out, the will hasn't been read yet. Jessica doesn't even look embarrassed. She's making coffee with Mom's good coffee maker, the one she gave Mom last Christmas and made a big show of explaining how to use. "Emma, we talked about this yesterday. I know change is hard, but you need to be realistic." She hands me a mug like she's the hostess and I'm a guest. "I've already talked to Mom's lawyer. This is just a formality." "You talked to Mr. Kimball?" "Of course. I wanted to make sure we could handle the estate transfer as smoothly as possible. Marcus and I are going to need time to plan the renovations, figure out which school district to move the kids to." "Wait, you're moving here?" "Eventually. This house has so much more space than our place in Riverside. The kids would love having a yard this size, and Marcus could finally have a proper home office." Mrs. Chen clears her throat. "I should probably go. Emma, I'm so sorry for your loss. Your mother was a wonderful woman." After she leaves, I turn to Jessica. "You're already planning to move in? Mom's been dead for less than 24 hours. Marcus finally looks up. "Look, Emma, I get that this is emotional for you, but Jessica's been managing Mom's affairs for months. She's power of attorney, she handled all the medical decisions." "I handled the medical care. Jessica had power of attorney for financial decisions." "Exactly," Jessica says, "and I know better than anyone what Mom's wishes were. She wanted the house to stay in the family, and she wanted it to go to someone who could take care of it properly." There's that word again, properly, like I'm some kind of disaster waiting to happen. "What about me? I've been living here for 2 years, taking care of her." Jessica's face softens, and for a second I think maybe she's going to acknowledge what I've done. But then she says, "Emma, honey, you took care of her because you had nowhere else to go. Mom knew that. She felt bad about it, actually, like she was enabling you instead of helping you become independent." The words hit like a physical blow. "She said that?" "Not in so many words, but she worried about you. We all did. Living here rent-free, no real career stability, no husband, no kids. Mom wanted you to have a chance to build your own life, not just exist in hers." Marcus nods along like Jessica's making perfect sense. "The house would just be a burden for you anyway, Emma. Property taxes, maintenance, utilities, it's expensive. Jessica and I can handle that kind of financial responsibility." I want to scream at them both. I want to tell them that I've been paying for groceries and utilities for months while Mom was sick. That I've been maintaining this house, fixing the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom, getting the gutters cleaned, scheduling the HVAC service. That I know every creak in the floorboards and every quirk of the old electrical system. But I don't say any of that, because in 3 hours, Mr. Kimball is going to say it for me. Instead, I pour myself coffee and sit at the kitchen table where I've eaten breakfast for most of my life. Fine, we'll see what the will says. Jessica exchanges a look with Marcus. "Emma, I really think it would be better if you prepared yourself mentally for this transition. I know you were hoping." "I wasn't hoping for anything," I lie. "I just want to hear what Mom actually wanted, not what you think she wanted." "What I think she wanted?" Jessica's voice gets that sharp edge it always gets when she's about to say something cruel. "Emma, I spent every Sunday here for the last 10 years. Every holiday, every birthday, every family celebration. The kids called her Grandma Annie, and she lit up every time they walked in the door. She talked about their school plays, their soccer games, their art projects. She was part of our family." "She was my mother too." "Were you? because from where I sat, you were more like a roommate who sometimes helped with her medication. When's the last time you brought her grandchildren to visit? When's the last time you gave her something to be proud of besides surviving another day? The coffee mug slips in my hands, and I have to set it down before I drop it, or throw it. I was here, I say quietly. Every day, every night, when she couldn't sleep, when she was scared, when the pain was so bad she couldn't stop crying, I was here. Because you had nowhere else to be. And there it is, Jessica's real opinion of me, delivered with surgical precision. Marcus looks uncomfortable now. Jess, maybe we should. No, she needs to hear this. Jessica sits across from me, her expression suddenly gentle, like she's about to give me some tough love. Emma, I love you, you're my sister and I want what's best for you. But you've been drifting for years. The divorce, moving back home, taking care of mom, it's all been about avoiding your real life. Taking care of mom was my real life. Taking care of mom was you hiding from your real life. And now she's gone, and you need to figure out what comes next. Living in this house, surrounded by memories, isn't going to help you move forward. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. I know this is hard. Change is always hard, but sometimes the people who love us have to make difficult decisions for our own good. I look down at her perfectly manicured hand covering mine. Jessica's always taken good care of herself. Weekly manicures, monthly facials, personal trainer twice a week. Even this morning, less than a day after Mom's funeral, her makeup is flawless. You've already decided, I say. The decision was made months ago, Emma. I'm just helping you understand it. I pull my hand away and stand up. Well, I guess we'll find out in a few hours who's right. As I head upstairs to get dressed for the will reading, I hear Jessica say to Marcus, she's going to make this so much harder than it needs to be. But she has no idea how hard it's actually going to be. For her, rate this betrayal on a scale of 1-10. Have you ever had family treat you like Jessica is treating Emma? Let me know in the comments. 2 hours later, I'm sitting in Mr. Kimball's office wearing the only black dress I own, the same one I wore to the funeral yesterday. Jessica arrived 15 minutes early with Marcus, both of them dressed like they're heading to a business meeting. Jessica's even carrying a leather portfolio, like she's expecting to sign important documents. The office feels exactly the same as it did 3 weeks ago when I drove Mom here. Dark wood paneling, law books that probably haven't been touched in decades, the faint smell of old paper and leather. Mr. Kimball looks exactly the same too, mid-60s, gray beard, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Thank you all for coming, he says, settling behind his desk with a thick manila folder. I know this is difficult timing, but Anna was very specific about wanting the will read promptly after the funeral. Jessica leans forward. Mr. Kimball, I spoke with you yesterday about streamlining the process, since we already discussed the main provisions. Actually, Jessica, I think there may have been some confusion in our phone call yesterday. Mr. Kimball opens the folder and adjusts his glasses. Let me read the will in its entirety, as your mother requested. Something in his tone makes Jessica sit back. Marcus reaches over and takes her hand. I, Anna Patricia Patterson, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament, revoking all previous wills and codicils. Standard opening, Jessica relaxes. First, I want to thank my daughters, Jessica and Emma, for the love and care they have shown me throughout my life. Each of you has given me joy in your own way, and I am proud to be your mother. I feel tears starting and blink them back. Jessica squeezes Marcus's hand. To my daughter, Jessica Patterson Williams, I leave my jewelry collection, including my engagement ring and the pearl necklace that belonged to my mother. I also leave the sum of $50,000 from my savings account and my 2019 Honda Accord. Jessica nods. This is probably what she expected, some sentimental items and a nice chunk of money. I hope these gifts will help you remember our Sunday afternoons together and know how much your visits with the children meant to me. Mr. Kimball pauses and turns the page. Jessica's practically glowing. To my daughter Emma Patterson Chen, I leave the remainder of my estate, including my home at 1247 Maple Street and all its contents, my remaining savings and investments, and my life insurance policy. The words hang in the air like smoke. Jessica's smile freezes. What? Mr. Kimball continues reading. I make this decision not out of favoritism, but out of gratitude and practical necessity. Emma has spent the last 2 years not just living in our family home, but making it her home. She has cared for me through my illness with a devotion that went far beyond obligation. There has to be a mistake, Jessica says, but her voice sounds strange, hollow. More importantly, Emma has shown me that she understands the true value of our family home. It is not an investment to be renovated or sold. It is not a stepping stone to something better. It is a sanctuary, a place where memories live, where love grows. Emma sees the house the way I see it, as a living part of our family story. I'm crying now, not bothering to hide it. These are Mom's words, Mom's thoughts about me, about what I meant to her. Jessica stands up abruptly. This is ridiculous. There's obviously been some kind of error. Mom and I discussed this extensively. She knew I was the responsible choice, the one with the stable family and financial resources. Jessica, please sit down, Mr. Kimball says gently. Let me finish reading. No, she's starting to lose it now, the perfect composure cracking. This doesn't make sense. Emma has no money, no stability, no plan for maintaining that house. Mom wouldn't have left it to someone who can't even take care of herself. Marcus tries to pull her back into her chair. Jess, let him finish reading. Maybe there's more. There is more, Mr. Kimball says. I know this decision may be surprising to some, and I want to explain my reasoning clearly. Jessica sits down heavily, her face pale. For the past 6 months, Emma has been my primary caregiver. Not just helping with medical appointments or grocery shopping, but truly caring for me in every sense of the word. She has seen me at my weakest, my most frightened, my most vulnerable, and she has never once made me feel like a burden. I never made you feel like a burden either, Jessica whispers, but it sounds like she's talking to herself. Emma moved her entire business into my dining room so she could work while staying close to me. She learned to manage my medication, help me bathe when I became too weak, hold my hand through the worst nights of pain. She did this not because she had to, but because she wanted to, because she loved me enough to put her own life on hold. I remember those nights, the way Mom would grip my hand when the pain got bad, how she'd apologize for keeping me awake, how I'd tell her stories about my design projects, about the clients who made me laugh, about the garden I wanted to plant in the backyard come spring. Jessica has been a wonderful daughter in many ways. She is organized, responsible, successful in her chosen career. She has given me beautiful grandchildren who brought light to my life, but Jessica sees our family home as a problem to be solved, a resource to be managed. She has spent the last year asking me about selling it, downsizing, moving into something more practical. Jessica's face goes white. I was worried about her living alone in such a big house. I was trying to help. Emma sees our home as I do, as the place where your father and I built our life together, where we raised our daughters, where love lives in every room. She has spent 2 years not just living in this house, but caring for it, maintaining it, keeping it alive while she cared for me. Mr. Kimball looks up at us. There's more. I have watched Emma rebuild herself in this house. After her divorce, she came home broken and lost. In the past 2 years, I have watched her find her strength again, build a successful business, become the woman I always knew she could be. She has done this while carrying the additional burden of caring for me, and she has never once complained. Jessica is crying now, but they're angry tears. This isn't fair. I have a family to think about. I have children who need a good home, a stable environment. Emma is just one person. I know that Jessica and Marcus have their hearts set on this house. I know they have made plans, dreamed dreams about raising their children here. But this house is not a stepping stone or an upgrade. It is a sanctuary, and it deserves to go to someone who understands that. The words hit Jessica like physical blows. Her whole body seems to shrink with each sentence. I also want to address the concern that Emma cannot handle the financial responsibility of homeownership. Emma has been paying for groceries, utilities, and household maintenance for the past 18 months, even though she thought I didn't notice. She has handled these expenses while building her design business and caring for me full-time. She is far more capable than anyone, including herself, realizes. I stare at Mr. Kimball. Mom knew? All those times I quietly paid the electric bill or bought groceries with my business credit card, thinking I was helping without her knowing. Finally, and most importantly, Emma has earned this inheritance. She has earned it through 2 years of daily sacrifice, through countless nights of interrupted sleep, through the emotional labor of watching me die slowly, and never once making me feel guilty for it. The room is completely silent now, except for the sound of Jessica's crying. I love both my daughters. I am proud of both my daughters. But Emma has shown me a kind of love that goes beyond duty or obligation. She has shown me the kind of love that sees a person at their worst and chooses to stay anyway. That is the kind of love I want living in this house after I'm gone. Mr. Kimball closes the folder. That concludes the reading of the will. Emma, there are some additional documents we'll need to go over regarding the property transfer and insurance policies, but we can schedule that for later this week. Jessica hasn't moved. She's staring at the desk like she's trying to process what just happened. Marcus is the first to speak. Is there any way to contest this? I mean, Mom was on pain medication. She might not have been thinking clearly. The will was updated 3 weeks ago, Mr. Kimball says firmly. Anna was completely lucid, and I can assure you she understood exactly what she was doing. She actually asked me to include those explanatory paragraphs specifically because she anticipated there might be questions. Jessica finally looks up at me. Her eyes are red, her perfect makeup ruined. You knew, she says. You knew, and you let me make a fool of myself. I didn't know anything, I say. I was just as surprised as you are. Bullshit, the word comes out sharp and bitter. You manipulated her. You isolated her from the rest of the family, made her dependent on you, poisoned her against me. Jessica. No, she stands up so fast her chair tips backward. This is exactly the kind of manipulative shit you've always pulled. Poor Emma, the victim, the one who needs rescuing. You made her feel guilty for having a normal life while you played the martyr. Marcus tries to calm her down. Jess, let's go home and talk about this. I'm not going anywhere until this is fixed. She turns to Mr. Kimball. There has to be something we can do. Mom wasn't herself these last few months. The medication, the stress of being sick, she wasn't capable of making rational decisions. Jessica, I understand you're upset, but your mother was entirely competent when she updated her will. She specifically asked me to make sure the language was clear and detailed to avoid exactly this kind of challenge. Then Emma forced her into it somehow. Emotional manipulation, financial abuse. That's enough, I say, standing up. Jessica, I'm sorry you're disappointed. I'm sorry this isn't what you expected. But Mom made this decision herself, and attacking me isn't going to change it. Attacking you? Attacking you? Jessica's voice rises to a near shriek. You stole my inheritance. You manipulated a dying woman into giving you a house worth $300,000. I didn't steal anything, and I didn't manipulate anyone. Then why didn't you tell me what was happening? Why did you let me believe? Because I didn't know. I drove her to this appointment 3 weeks ago, and she told me it was just updating some paperwork. I had no idea what she was planning. Jessica stares at me for a long moment, then she laughs, but it's not a happy sound. Of course you didn't know. Poor innocent Emma, just stumbling through life while good things happened to her, just like always. What's that supposed to mean? It means you've always been the victim, the one everyone feels sorry for, the one who gets special treatment because she's too fragile to handle the real world. And somehow, that always works out for you in the end. She grabs her purse and heads for the door. This isn't over, Emma. I don't care what that will says. You don't deserve that house, and everyone knows it. After they leave, I sit in the quiet office with Mr. Kimball, trying to process what just happened. Are you all right, dear? He asks gently. I think so. Is she right? Can she contest the will? She can try, but she won't succeed. Your mother was very thorough and, frankly, very wise. She anticipated this reaction. He opens another folder. In fact, she left you a letter. She asked me to give it to you after the reading, once you were alone. He hands me an envelope with my name written in Mom's careful handwriting. Inside is a single sheet of paper. My dearest Emma asterisk. If you're reading this, then the will has been read, and Jessica is probably very angry. I'm sorry for that, sweetheart. I know you don't like conflict, and I know this puts you in a difficult position. But I need you to understand something. You didn't steal this house. You earned it. Every sleepless night you spent by my side, every time you helped me shower when I was too weak to stand, every moment you put your own life aside to make sure I wasn't alone, you earned it. Jessica is a good person, but she sees the house as an asset. You see it as a home. That's the difference, and that's why it belongs to you. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for accepting what you've earned. Don't let anyone convince you that you're not strong enough or smart enough or worthy enough to handle this responsibility. You are all of those things and more. The house is yours now, Emma. Make it yours in every way. Plant the garden you always talked about. Set up your art studio in the sunroom. Fill it with love and laughter and life. And remember that every time you walk through that front door, you're walking into a home that was given to you not out of pity, but out of love and admiration and deep, abiding pride. I love you, sweetheart. Take care of our home. Mom asterisk. I'm crying again by the time I finish reading. Mr. Kimball hands me a box of tissues. She was very proud of you, he says quietly. She talked about your design work, how you'd built your business back up from nothing. She showed me some of your projects on her phone. Oh, she did. Oh, yes. She especially loved that logo you designed for the children's theater. She said you captured exactly what they were trying to say with their mission. I remember that project. It was a small job, barely paid enough to cover groceries for a week. But the client loved it, and seeing kids wear t-shirts with my design to their performances made me feel like I was contributing something meaningful to the world. Your mother saw that in you, Mr. Kimball says. She saw someone who could create beauty, who could build something meaningful. She trusted you with her most precious possession because she knew you'd treasure it the way she did. As I drive home, to my home now, I think about Jessica's words, about manipulation and martyrdom and special treatment, about whether there's any truth in her anger. But then I remember the night Mom woke up crying because the pain was so bad she couldn't breathe, and how I held her until it passed. I remember helping her wash her hair when she was too weak to lift her arms, how we laughed about the crazy cowlick that always stuck up in the back. I remember the afternoon she made me promise to plant sunflowers in the backyard because they always look happy, no matter what. I didn't do those things to manipulate her. I didn't do them to earn an inheritance I didn't even know I was getting. I did them because I loved her, because she was my mom and she needed me. And now she's given me the greatest gift she could, not just a house, but the knowledge that I was exactly the daughter she needed me to be when it mattered most. What would you have done in Emma's situation? Do you think Jessica has a right to be angry? Comment your thoughts below. I'm curious what you all think about family dynamics like this. I thought the drama was over after the will reading. I was wrong. 3 days later, I'm in the backyard pulling weeds from Mom's rose garden when I hear car doors slamming in the driveway. Multiple car doors. I walk around to the front of the house to find Jessica's car, Marcus's truck, and a car I don't recognize parked in my driveway. Jessica is marching up the front walkway with Marcus, their two kids trailing behind looking confused, and an older woman in a business suit carrying a clipboard. Emma, Jessica calls out like she's greeting an old friend. Perfect timing. This is Patricia Hendricks from Hendricks Realty. I thought we should get the house appraised before we put it on the market. I stare at them, put it on the market. The real estate agent looks between us uncomfortably. I'm sorry, there seems to be some confusion. Mrs. Patterson Williams called me yesterday saying she needed to sell her mother's house quickly, but this gentleman at the lawyer's office said. She trails off, clearly realizing she's walked into a family conflict. There's no confusion, I say firmly. I'm Emma Chen, and this is my house now. Jessica doesn't have the authority to sell anything. Jessica's smile doesn't waver, but her eyes go hard. Emma, we talked about this. You can't afford to maintain a house this size. The property taxes alone are going to eat up whatever savings you have. Patricia can help us find you a nice little condo, something more manageable. I don't want a condo, I want to live in my house. Your house, Jessica laughs, but it sounds forced. Emma, let's be realistic here. You're unemployed, you have no savings, no husband to help with expenses. What happens when the roof needs replacing? When the furnace breaks down? When property taxes go up? I notice her kids hanging back by the cars. 8-year-old Sophie and 6-year-old Dylan, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Jessica brought them as props, I realize. Sweet little grandchildren who deserve to inherit their grandmother's house. I run my own business, Jessica. I'm not unemployed. Making flyers for the local pizza place isn't exactly a career, Emma. The real estate agent shifts uncomfortably. Perhaps I should come back another time. No, Jessica says quickly. Patricia, I called you because Emma is in denial about her situation. She thinks she can maintain a 3-bedroom house on her little design hobby, but she's going to end up losing it to foreclosure anyway. I'm trying to help her sell now while she can still get something out of it. I'm not selling anything, I say. Ms. Hendricks, I'm sorry Jessica wasted your time, but there's been a misunderstanding. This house isn't for sale. Patricia looks at her clipboard. The listing request came from Jessica Patterson Williams, who said she was handling her deceased mother's estate. Jessica is not handling the estate. I am. The house was left to me in my mother's will. There are ways to challenge wills, Jessica says to Patricia, like I'm not standing right here. Especially when they're made under duress or by someone who wasn't mentally competent. Emma isolated our mother during her illness, cut her off from family, manipulated her into changing her will. The words hit like a slap, not just because they're cruel, but because part of me has been wondering if there's any truth to them. Marcus finally speaks up. Jess, maybe we should discuss this privately with Emma. No, Marcus, Emma needs to hear this from someone objective. Jessica turns to Patricia. Our mother had pancreatic cancer. She was on heavy pain medication for months. Emma was her only caregiver, the only family member who had regular access to her. Don't you think it's suspicious that she suddenly changed her will to leave everything to the daughter who had been living off her for 2 years? I feel my face burning. I wasn't living off her, I was caring for her. You were living rent-free, eating her food, using her utilities while your so-called business barely brought in enough to cover your car payment. Because I was working part-time so I could take care of mom full-time. Because you couldn't handle the real world after your divorce fell apart. Jessica's voice drops to that fake concern tone again. Emma, everyone understands that you needed help after David left you. But taking advantage of a dying woman's gratitude isn't the way to solve your problems. The real estate agent looks like she wants to disappear. Sophie and Dylan are fidgeting by the cars, clearly uncomfortable with the adult drama playing out in front of them. I take a deep breath. Ms. Hendricks, I'm going to say this once more, very clearly. This is my house. It was left to me legally in my mother's will. Jessica has no authority to sell it or make any decisions about it. If you'd like to verify this, I can give you Mr. Kimball's number. He's the lawyer who handled the estate. Patricia nods quickly. That won't be necessary. I think there's clearly been a miscommunication here. Jessica, I'll need to cancel this listing request. Don't cancel anything, Jessica snaps. Emma can't afford this house. She's going to lose it within 6 months and then what? It'll go into foreclosure, the bank will sell it for half its value, and the whole family legacy will be gone. That's not going to happen. How do you know? What's your plan, Emma? You're going to support a $300,000 house on logo design jobs. You're going to handle property maintenance and taxes and insurance on your own. You couldn't even handle being married. That last comment lands exactly where she intended it to. My failed marriage has been Jessica's favorite weapon against me for 2 years, proof that I can't handle adult responsibilities. But this time, instead of shrinking away, I feel something different. Anger, yes, but something else too, certainty. You want to know my plan? I pull out my phone and open my banking app. Here's my business account balance. I turn the screen toward Jessica and Patricia. Jessica's eyes widen. $47,000, I say. Built up over the past 18 months while I was caring for mom and supposedly living off her charity. Jessica's mouth opens and closes like a fish. That can't be right. It's right. Turns out, when you're not paying rent or utilities, and when you're working from home instead of commuting and buying lunch every day, you can save a lot of money. Even on my little design hobby income. I swipe to another screen. And here's my project pipeline for the next 6 months. Contracts worth another $35,000, not including the potential ongoing work from 3 of these clients. Patricia looks impressed. Marcus looks surprised. Jessica looks like someone just told her the sky is green. But you were barely scraping by, Jessica says. You were eating mom's food, using her car when yours broke down. I was eating mom's food because I was buying and cooking for both of us. I was using her car because mine was in the shop, and I didn't want to leave her alone while I dealt with rentals and insurance. Everything I did was about taking care of her, not taking advantage of her. I put my phone away, and even if I was struggling financially, even if I couldn't afford this house, it still wouldn't give you the right to sell it. Mom left it to me. Not to you, not to Marcus, not to your kids, to me, because she trusted me to take care of it. Jessica's perfect composure finally cracks completely. She trusted you? She trusted you? Emma, you're a disaster. You always have been. You married the first guy who paid attention to you and then acted surprised when he turned out to be a loser. You bounced from job to job for years before settling on something you could do from home because you can't handle working with other people. You moved back in with mommy at 30 because you couldn't make it on your own. Each word is designed to cut, and they do. But they also make something clear that's been building in my chest for 3 days. You're right, I say quietly. I did marry the wrong person. I did struggle to find my place in the world. I did need help after my divorce. And you know what? I'm glad those things happened. Jessica blinks, thrown off by my response. I'm glad I made mistakes because they taught me what I really wanted. I'm glad I struggled because it made me stronger. I'm glad I came home because it meant I got to spend 2 years really knowing Mom as an adult, not just visiting her on Sundays with a casserole. I take a step closer to Jessica. You want to know why Mom left me the house? It's not because I manipulated her or isolated her or took advantage of her medication. It's because I was there. Not just physically present, but actually there. When she was scared about dying, when she couldn't sleep, when she needed someone to listen to her talk about Dad, when she wanted to watch old movies and cry about getting old, I was there. Jessica's eyes are filling with tears, but I'm not done. You came twice a week with the kids and talked about their activities and your real estate deals and Marcus's promotion. You brought casseroles and flowers and stayed for exactly 2 hours. You treated her like a grandmother to visit, not a person to know. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you and Mom had a conversation that wasn't about your kids or your job? When's the last time you asked her how she was feeling about dying? When's the last time you just sat with her without an agenda? The tears spill over now. I was protecting the kids. I didn't want them to see her suffer. You were protecting yourself. Just like you're protecting yourself now by trying to sell this house instead of dealing with the fact that your perfect plan didn't work out. I turned to Patricia. Ms. Hendricks, thank you for your time, but as I said, the house isn't for sale. Jessica, you and your family need to leave my property. Your property, Jessica's voice rises again. Your property, Emma, you can't just kick out your own family. You're not acting like family. You're acting like entitled strangers who think they know better than Mom did about her own wishes. Marcus finally steps in. Emma, I think we all need to calm down and discuss this rationally. There's nothing to discuss. The will was read, the decision was made, and Mom's wishes were clear. Jessica can't accept that, so she's trying to bully me into giving up what Mom left me. But it's not going to work. I look at Sophie and Dylan, who are both staring at the ground. Kids, I'm sorry you had to see the adults fighting. Your mom is upset right now, but everything's going to be okay. Sophie looks up at me with Mom's eyes. Are you really going to live in Grandma Annie's house forever? I'm going to live here as long as I can, sweetheart, and you're always welcome to visit. Even if Mommy's mad at you. Even if Mommy's mad at me. Jessica grabs Sophie's hand. Come on, kids, we're leaving. As they head toward the cars, Jessica turns back one more time. This isn't over, Emma. I'm going to contest that will, and I'm going to prove that you manipulated a sick woman into giving you something you don't deserve. You do what you need to do, Jessica, but you might want to ask yourself why you're so desperate to take away the one thing Mom chose to give me. What are you really angry about? She doesn't answer, just bundles the kids into her car and drives away. Marcus follows without saying goodbye. Patricia hands me her card in case you ever do decide to sell and leaves as quickly as she can. I stand in the driveway for a long time after they're gone, shaking with adrenaline and emotion. Part of me feels terrible for the things I said to Jessica. Part of me feels guilty for enjoying the shocked look on her face when I showed her my bank balance. Part of me wonders if I really am the selfish, manipulative sister she thinks I am. But when I walk back into the house, my house, and see Mom's reading glasses still sitting on the kitchen table where she left them, I know I made the right choice. This house isn't just an inheritance. It's a trust. Mom trusted me to keep it safe, to keep it loved, to make sure it remains a home instead of becoming just another piece of real estate. Jessica will never understand that, but I do. And that's exactly why Mom left it to me. Drop a comment and tell me, do you think Emma was too harsh with Jessica, or was Jessica asking for it? I honestly can't tell if I handled this right. The next few weeks pass quietly. Too quietly. Jessica doesn't call, doesn't text, doesn't show up with real estate agents or lawyers. It's like she's disappeared from my life completely. At first, I'm relieved. I use the piece to start settling into truly owning the house. I set up my design office in the sunroom, just like I always wanted. I plant the sunflowers Mom asked for in the backyard. I finally fix the squeaky hinge on the front door that's been driving me crazy for 2 years. But as days turn into weeks, the silence starts to feel ominous. Jessica's not the type to give up without a fight, and she's definitely not the type to accept defeat gracefully. I get my answer on a Tuesday morning when my phone buzzes with a text from my cousin Rachel, Jessica's closest friend since high school. Emma, I think you should know what Jessica's been telling people about the inheritance situation. Can we talk? We meet for coffee at the little cafe downtown, where Mom used to take me for hot chocolate after dentist appointments. Rachel looks uncomfortable, fidgeting with her napkin and avoiding eye contact. I don't want to get in the middle of family drama, she starts, but some of the things Jessica's been saying, I thought you should know. My stomach drops. What kind of things? She's been telling people that you manipulated your mom, that you isolated her from family, and convinced her to change her will while she was on heavy medication. She's saying you were essentially financially abusing a vulnerable elderly woman. The words hit like ice water. She's been telling people I abused Mom. Not in so many words, but she's heavily implying it. She's also been saying that you've been lying about your financial situation, that you're basically broke and going to lose the house anyway. Rachel finally meets my eyes. Emma, is any of that true? None of it. The answer comes out sharper than I intended. I cared for Mom every single day for 6 months. I never pressured her about anything, and I had no idea she'd changed her will until it was read. And I'm not broke. My business is actually doing really well. I figured as much. Jessica's always been competitive about success. But Emma, she's not just talking to friends and family. She's been posting about it on social media. My blood goes cold. What do you mean posting about it? Rachel pulls out her phone and shows me Jessica's Facebook page. The most recent post from yesterday has over 50 comments. Watching my sister move into our family home after manipulating our dying mother into changing her will. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most. Pray for our family during this difficult time. I scroll through the comments, my hands shaking. Most of them are from Jessica's friends and neighbors, offering sympathy and outrage on her behalf. But a few are from people I know, people from Mom's church, old family friends. I always thought Emma seemed unstable after her divorce. Jessica has always been so responsible and caring. This is shocking. Anna would be heartbroken to see her daughters fighting like this. Some people will do anything for money, so sad. There's more, Rachel says quietly. She shows me another post from a few days earlier. Found out today that the house our mother promised to our children may have to be sold because of financial irresponsibility. Trying to stay strong for Sophie and Dylan, but it's hard to explain why their inheritance is being gambled away. I stare at the screen, feeling sick. She's making it sound like I'm going to lose the house and steal her kid's inheritance. Emma, you know I love Jessica, but this is crossing a line. She's basically slandering you publicly. I think about all the people who have seen these posts: moms, friends from church, neighbors I've known since childhood, potential clients who might Google my name and find Jessica's version of the story. Has she said anything to you directly about her plans? Rachel hesitates. She asked me if I knew any lawyers who specialize in estate disputes. And she's been asking people if they remember your mom acting strangely in her final months, like if anyone noticed her being confused or saying things that didn't make sense. She's building a case to contest the will. It seems like it. Emma, I love Jessica, but I was at your mom's house a lot during her illness. I saw how you cared for her. There was nothing manipulative about it, you were devoted. And Anna was sharp as a tack right up until the end. If she changed her will, she had good reasons. I close Facebook before I can read any more comments. Thanks for telling me, Rachel. I know this puts you in an awkward position. What are you going to do? I don't answer because I'm not sure yet, but as I drive home, a plan starts forming in my mind. That evening, I sit at Mom's kitchen table with my laptop and start working. Not on a design project, on something more important. I create a new document and title it The Truth About Mom's Final Months. Then I start writing. Everything. The daily routine of caring for Mom, the medical appointments, the sleepless nights, the conversations we had about life and love and death. The way she held my hand during the worst pain episodes. The stories she told me about her childhood, about meeting Dad, about watching Jessica and me grow up. I write about the practical stuff too. The grocery receipts I can find showing I was buying food for both of us. The utility bills that show I was making payments. The records of Mom's medical appointments that show I was the one taking her, sitting with her, asking questions about her care. But mostly, I write about love. About the privilege of caring for someone you love in their final months. About the conversations that happen at 3 a.m. when someone can't sleep because they're afraid of dying. About the way Mom's face lit up when I showed her a new design project, how proud she was of the business I'd built from nothing. I write until 2 a.m., until I've captured everything I can remember about those 6 months. Then I read it over, edit it for clarity, and save it. The next morning, I call Mr. Kimball. Emma, how are you holding up? His voice is warm and concerned. I'm okay, but I need to ask you about something. If someone were to contest Mom's will, what kind of evidence would they need? There's a pause. Has Jessica filed a formal challenge? Not yet, but I think she's planning to. She's been telling people I manipulated Mom, that Mom wasn't competent when she changed the will. She's essentially accusing me of elder abuse. I see. Mr. Kimball's voice gets serious. Emma, I want you to know that your mother anticipated this possibility. She was very thorough in documenting her decision-making process. What do you mean? When she came to update her will 3 weeks before she died, she didn't just make the changes. She recorded a video statement explaining her reasoning. She wanted to make sure there was no question about her mental state or her motives. I sit down hard in Mom's kitchen chair. She made a video. A 20-minute video, shot in my office with my legal assistant as a witness. She explains why she's leaving the house to you, talks about your care during her illness, discusses her concerns about Jessica's plans for the property. She was completely lucid, Emma, articulate, thoughtful, clearly of sound mind. Tears start running down my face. Even at the end, even when she was dying, Mom was still taking care of me. There's more, Mr. Kimball continues. She also asked me to keep detailed records of our conversations about the will change. She told me she expected Jessica to challenge it and wanted to make sure I could testify about her mental state and decision-making process. Can Jessica still contest it? She can try, but she won't win. Your mother's video statement alone would be enough to defeat any competency challenge. And frankly, the fact that Jessica is making public accusations about elder abuse before filing a formal challenge isn't going to look good to a judge. After I hang up with Mr. Kimball, I sit in the quiet kitchen and think about what to do next. Jessica has declared war on my reputation, my character, my right to the home Mom left me. She's trying to turn the entire community against me based on lies and assumptions. But I have something she doesn't, the truth. And thanks to Mom's foresight, I have proof of that truth. I open my laptop and create a new Facebook account. I deleted my personal 1 year ago, but I need it now for this. Then I start typing a new post. Some of you may have seen posts about my family's situation regarding my mother's will. I've stayed quiet out of respect for the grieving process, but I think it's time to set the record straight. I attach the document I wrote the night before, all 15 pages of it. Then I add photos. Mom and me at her last doctor's appointment, both of us smiling despite everything. Me helping her plant tulip bulbs in the garden last fall, when she was still strong enough to kneel in the dirt. The two of us working on a jigsaw puzzle during one of her good days, her hands steady and her eyes bright. But the most important addition is a paragraph at the end of my post. My mother, knowing that her will might be contested, took the precaution of recording a video statement with her lawyer explaining her decision. In that video, she was completely lucid, thoughtful, and clear about her wishes. She specifically addressed the possibility that some family members might question her judgment or accuse others of manipulation. I'm sharing this not to hurt anyone, but because my mother's character and final wishes deserve to be respected. She was nobody's victim. She was a strong, intelligent woman who made a thoughtful decision about her property. Anyone who knew her well would never question her mental capacity or her ability to make her own choices. I hope we can all focus on honoring her memory instead of fighting over her legacy. I hit post and then sit back to wait. The response is swift and overwhelming. Within an hour, I have dozens of comments from Mom's friends, former students, neighbors, and church members. But these comments are different from the ones on Jessica's posts. Anna talked to me about how proud she was of Emma's business success. I visited Anna several times during her illness. Emma was always there, always attentive, never anything but loving. Anna was sharp as a tack, right up until the end. Anyone who knew her would never question her mental capacity. Emma, your mother talked about you constantly. How hard you worked, how much you'd grown, how grateful she was to have you home. I was Anna's friend for 40 years. She would be heartbroken to see anyone questioning her final wishes or attacking Emma like this. But the comment that means the most comes from Mrs. Chen, Mom's next-door neighbor. Emma, I watched you care for your mother for months. I saw you carrying her groceries, helping her to doctor appointments, sitting with her on the porch when she needed fresh air. You were devoted, and Anna knew it. She told me several times how lucky she felt to have a daughter who loved her enough to put her own life on hold. Anyone suggesting you manipulated her doesn't know what they're talking about. By the end of the day, my post has been shared 30 times. Jessica's posts from earlier in the week have new comments too, but now they're people defending me and questioning her version of events. The tide has turned. 3 days later, I get a text from Jessica. We need to talk. She shows up at my door that evening, alone this time. No Marcus, no kids, no real estate agent. She looks tired, older somehow. The confident, perfectly put-together woman who tried to kick me out of my own house 3 weeks ago is gone. Can I come in? She asks quietly. We sit in Mom's living room, my living room now, and for a long moment, neither of us speaks. Finally, Jessica says, I saw your Facebook post. I figured. People have been calling me and texting and commenting. She looks down at her hands. Mom really made a video. Oh, she did. What did she say? I consider lying or refusing to tell her, but we've hurt each other enough. She said she was proud of both of us, but that she trusted me to take care of the house the way she wanted it cared for. She said you saw it as a property to be improved, but I saw it as a home to be preserved. Jessica nods slowly. She was right. The admission hangs between us. I was already planning the renovations, she continues. New kitchen, updated bathrooms, maybe an addition for the kids. I thought I was honoring her by making it better. But she didn't want it better, she wanted it loved. I know that now. Jessica looks around the room, and I can see her really seeing it for maybe the first time. The way the afternoon light falls through the sheer curtains Mom refused to replace. The comfortable worn spots on the couch arms. the family photos covering every surface, telling the story of our lives in this house. I'm sorry, she says finally. About the Facebook posts, about bringing that real estate agent, about everything I said. I was hurt and angry and I took it out on you. I'm sorry too, about the things I said about your relationship with mom. That was cruel. It was also true. Jessica's voice is barely above a whisper. I did treat her like a grandmother to visit instead of a person to know. I was so focused on my own life, my own family, that I forgot she was still living hers. We sit in silence for a while, both of us crying quietly. What happens now? Jessica asks. Now you get to be my sister again, if you want to be. The kids can visit anytime. You can come for Sunday dinners like Mom always wanted. We can figure out how to be a family without her. What about the house? What about it? Do you really think you can handle it? All the maintenance and expenses and… I smile. Jessica, I've been handling it for 2 years. I'm going to be fine. She nods, and for the first time since Mom died, she looks like she believes it. After Jessica leaves, I walk through the quiet house and think about justice. Not the dramatic, explosive kind you see in movies, but the quiet, persistent kind that comes from simply refusing to give up what you know is right. Jessica's public campaign to discredit me failed not because I destroyed her, but because the truth was stronger than her lies. The people who really knew Mom, who really saw how I cared for her, weren't fooled by accusations of manipulation or abuse. Mom's final gift wasn't just the house. It was the proof that I was exactly the daughter she needed me to be when it mattered most. And that proof, captured in a lawyer's office 3 weeks before she died, was unshakable. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's just being exactly who you are and letting that be enough. Comment below, have you ever had someone try to publicly discredit you? How did you handle it? I'm curious what strategies worked for other people. 6 months later, I'm kneeling in Mom's garden, my garden now, planting the last of the sunflower seeds. It's early May, and the morning air still has that crisp spring bite that promises warmth later in the day. The house behind me is exactly the same as it was when Mom died, but somehow completely different. Her reading glasses still sit on the kitchen table, but next to them now is my tablet where I sketch design ideas over morning coffee. Her favorite coffee mug is still in the cabinet, but I use it every day now, filling it with the good dark roast she always said was too expensive for everyday drinking. I've learned to see the house through Mom's eyes, not as a collection of problems to be fixed or improvements to be made, but as a living space that holds our family's story in every room. The squeaky step third from the top that used to announce Jessica and me sneaking downstairs for midnight snacks. The growth chart penciled on the kitchen doorframe that tracked us from toddlers to teenagers. The chip in the bathroom tile from when Jessica dropped her hairdryer in 8th grade. These aren't flaws to be corrected, they're memories to be treasured. My business has grown beyond anything I imagined possible. Working from the sunroom, surrounded by Mom's plants and the afternoon light she loved so much, I've created some of my best work. The Children's Theater logo led to a full rebrand project, which led to 3 more nonprofit clients, which led to a small business owner recommending me to her network. Last month, I had to turn down 2 projects because I'm booked solid through the end of the year. Jessica was right about one thing. I couldn't have built this business while working in an office somewhere, commuting every day, playing politics with coworkers who saw my creativity as a threat rather than an asset. I needed the peace and space of home to find my professional voice. I just never realized it until I was forced to. The front door opens, and Sophie comes running into the backyard. Emma, look what I drew. She's been coming over every Sunday for the past month, usually while Jessica runs errands or Marcus does yard work at their house. At first, Jessica seemed nervous about it, like she was worried I'd turn her daughter against her or fill her head with resentment about the inheritance. But Sophie doesn't care about any of that. She just knows that Grandma Annie's house is a place where adults have time to look at her drawings, where she can help plant flowers and learn to braid friendship bracelets and eat cookies without being reminded about sugar intake. That's beautiful, sweetheart, I tell her, examining her crayon masterpiece. It's a picture of a house with enormous sunflowers growing around it and stick figures labeled Emma, and Sophie, standing in the garden. Should we hang it on the refrigerator with the others? She nods enthusiastically and skips toward the house. Jessica appears at the back door. Sophie, don't track dirt through Emma's house. It's fine, I call out. A little dirt never hurt anything. Jessica walks over to where I'm kneeling among the flower beds. She's been different since our conversation 6 months ago. Quieter, more thoughtful, less quick to organize and manage everyone around her. Need help? She asks. If you want, I'm almost done with the sunflowers, but I was thinking about putting some herbs over by the kitchen window. Mom always talked about having fresh basil for her tomatoes. Jessica kneels beside me and starts arranging the seed packets. She would have loved this garden, she says. She always said the backyard had so much potential, but Dad never had time to work on it, and then after he died. After he died, she was too sad to think about planting things that would bloom after she was gone, I finish. But now she gets to see them anyway through us. We work in comfortable silence for a while. This is new for us, being quiet together without the silence feeling heavy or awkward. We're learning to be sisters again, slowly, carefully, like people recovering from the same injury. Emma, Jessica says as we're planting the basil seeds, I need to tell you something. I look up, suddenly worried. The tentative peace we've built feels fragile sometimes, like it could shatter if either of us pushes too hard. Marcus and I are getting divorced. I rock back on my heels. Jess, I'm so sorry, what happened? She sits back in the dirt, brushing her hands on her jeans. Nothing dramatic, no cheating, no big fight. We just grew apart, have been for years actually. I think I was so focused on building the perfect family, the perfect life, that I forgot to pay attention to whether Marcus and I actually enjoyed each other anymore. When did you decide? About 2 months ago. We were sitting at dinner, and Sophie was telling us about a book she'd read, and Dylan was explaining some complicated thing about Pokémon, and I realized Marcus and I hadn't had a real conversation in weeks. We were like roommates managing a household together, not partners building a life. I remember feeling something similar in my own marriage. That gradual realization that you and your spouse had become strangers who happened to share a house and a last name. How are you doing with it? How are the kids? Better than I expected, honestly. Marcus is a good father, and we're doing the divorce amicably. We're selling the house, too many memories of trying to be something we weren't. I'm looking for something smaller, more manageable. She picks up a handful of soil and lets it run through her fingers. I keep thinking about what Mom said in her will, about me seeing the house as a property to be improved instead of a home to be loved. She was right about more than just the house. What do you mean? I think I've been treating my whole life that way. Like everything was a project to be optimized, a problem to be solved. My marriage, my kids' activities, even my relationship with Mom, I was always trying to make everything better instead of just being present for what it was. We finish planting the herbs as Sophie comes back outside with dirt-free hands and a glass of water. Emma, can we make cookies? The kind with the chocolate chips that look like Grandma Annie's. Of course we can. As we head inside, Jessica says quietly, thank you for letting her come over. I know it's not your responsibility to. She's my niece, I interrupt, and this is her grandmother's house. Of course she's always welcome here. In the kitchen, Sophie climbs onto the stool Mom kept by the counter for when the grandkids visited. I pull out Mom's recipe box, the wooden one Dad made for her in high school shop class, and find the card for chocolate chip cookies, written in Mom's careful handwriting with notes in the margins about oven temperature and cooling time. As we measure and mix, Sophie chatters about school and friends and the butterfly she found in the backyard. Jessica sits at the kitchen table watching us, and I realize this is probably the first time in months that she's just sat still, not organizing or planning or managing anything. You're good with her, Jessica says as I help Sophie crack eggs into the bowl. She's easy to be good with. She's got Mom's curiosity and your stubbornness. Lucky her, Jessica says with a wry smile. While the cookies bake, Sophie explores the house like she's seeing it for the first time. She finds the photo albums Mom kept on the living room bookshelf and spreads them across the coffee table, asking questions about every picture. Is this you, Emma? You look funny with long hair. Is this Mommy? She was little like me. Where's Grandpa? I never met Grandpa. I sit beside her and help her identify relatives and occasions, telling her stories about birthday parties and Christmas mornings and family vacations to the lake. Jessica joins us, adding details I'd forgotten, correcting my memory of which year we got the dog or when Dad built the treehouse. For the first time since Mom died, we're remembering together instead of separately. We're building Sophie's understanding of her family history, giving her the context she'll need to understand where she comes from. Mom would have loved this, Jessica says as Sophie studies a photo of the three of us making snow angels in the backyard 25 years ago. She is loving this, I correct. Just because she's not here doesn't mean she's not part of it. When the cookies are done, we sit around the kitchen table, Mom's table, eating warm chocolate chip cookies and drinking milk from the glasses Mom used for us when we were Sophie's age. The afternoon light streams through the window over the sink, illuminating dust motes that dance in the air like tiny spirits. This is what Mom wanted, I realize. Not just for me to have the house, but for the house to remain a place where family gathers, where children feel safe and loved, where memories are made and shared. After Jessica and Sophie leave, I walk through the quiet house, straightening pillows and washing dishes and thinking about the strange paths that led me here. 2 years ago, I was a divorced woman in her 30s, living in her childhood bedroom and wondering if she'd ever figure out how to be an adult. Now I'm a homeowner, a successful business owner, a guardian of family history. But more than that, I'm exactly who Mom always believed I could be: strong enough to handle responsibility, creative enough to build something meaningful, loving enough to put someone else's needs before my own when it mattered. The inheritance was never really about the house or the money. It was about Mom's faith in me, her belief that I had grown into someone worthy of her trust. The house was just the proof of that faith, the tangible evidence that she saw me clearly and loved what she saw. That evening, I sit in Mom's rocking chair on the front porch, my rocking chair now, and watch the sun set over the neighborhood where I grew up. Mrs. Chen waves from her garden. The family 3 houses down is teaching their toddler to ride a tricycle in their driveway. A couple I don't recognize walks by with their dog, probably new to the neighborhood. Life goes on, seasons change, families grow and shrink and reshape themselves around loss and new beginnings. But some things endure. Love endures, memory endures. The sense of home, of belonging, of being exactly where you're meant to be, that endures too. I pull out my phone and open a new text message to Jessica. Thank you for letting Sophie help with the garden today. Same time next Sunday, I was thinking we could start a vegetable patch where Mom always wanted one. Her response comes quickly. She'd love that, so would Mom. As darkness falls and the streetlights come on, I go inside and lock the front door. Tomorrow I have 3 client calls and a logo presentation. Next week I'm meeting with a potential new client who found me through word-of-mouth referrals. Next month I'm planning to finally tackle the attic, organizing decades of family photos and keepsakes. But tonight, I'm just going to sit in Mom's kitchen, my kitchen, and maybe look through her recipe box for something special to make for Sunday dinner with Jessica and the kids. This house has seen generations of Pattersons grow up, fall in love, face challenges, and build lives. Now it's my turn to be part of that story, to add my own chapters to the legacy Mom entrusted to me. I'm ready for whatever comes next, because I'm not just living in Mom's house anymore. I'm home. Final CTA, rate this story 0-10 in the comments. I want to know what you thought of Emma's journey and whether you think she handled everything the right way. Also, drop your city in the comments. I love seeing where all of you are reading from.